In a small town almost forgotten by time, there stood an old shop at the corner of the street. Its walls cracked, its paint faded, and the air inside filled with the scent of dust and old wood. But among all the antique things inside, there was one that caught everyone's attention, an old clock standing quietly in the corner, its glass foggy, its hands frozen at 12. Once that clock had been the heart of the town. Every morning people would glance at it before heading to work. Children would point at it joyfully, asking what time it was, and shopkeepers across the street used it to set their own clocks. That clock was more than a keeper of time. It was a witness to life, marking the rhythm of every step in that little town. But now, everything had changed. Its hands had stopped. The tick-tock that once filled the room had long disappeared. And like a forgotten human soul, it stood silently covered in dust, a quiet witness to the time that kept moving on without it. The shop owner's name was Mr. Harris, a middle-aged man with gentle eyes and slow steps. Every morning he opened his store with the same routine, sweeping the floor, arranging the shelves, and gazing at that old clock that no longer ticked. He had often thought about throwing it away. To him, the clock was just a relic of the past, a reminder of the days when his shop was full of life, when laughter still echoed through those wooden walls. But every time he tried to lift it, something in his chest stopped him, a quiet whisper deep inside, as if the clock itself wasn't ready to leave. That afternoon, rain began to fall softly outside. The sky turned grey, and the damp air pressed against the old glass windows. Suddenly, the bell above the door chimed. A little boy walked in with his father, looking for shelter from the rain. The boy ran around, his curious eyes scanning the room, until they landed on the big clock in the corner. "Dad," he asked, "why isn't that clock moving?" His father smiled. "Maybe it's just tired from working too long," he said lightly. The boy stood still for a moment, staring at the old clock with wonder. Then he asked, "If the clock stopped, does that mean time stopped here too?" Mr. Harris, who heard it from behind the counter, suddenly froze. The question was simple, but it struck something deep inside him. The boy kept looking at the clock for a moment. Then his father gently took his hand, and they both left the shop. But those words, they stayed in Mr. Harris's mind, echoing quietly like a sound that refused to fade. That night the shop was closed. The old hanging lamp swayed softly with the wind. Mr. Harris sat in his chair, staring at the old clock from afar. For the first time in years he truly looked at it. Every crack in its wood, every dust on its glass, every silence he had long ignored. He walked closer, running his trembling fingers across its glass. "Stopped doesn't mean worthless," he whispered. He opened the back of the clock, finding rusted gears and a broken spring. Then he went to the back room and brought out an old wooden box, his repair tools from long ago. That night he worked patiently. One by one he cleaned each part, applied a drop of oil, and replaced the broken spring. And slowly, after all those years, a faint sound returned. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Mr. Harris froze. His eyes filled with tears. He looked at the clock, alive once again. And in that gentle ticking, he heard something else. The quiet beat of his own heart, starting to move again. The next morning, people walking past the shop glanced through the dusty window. They were surprised. The old clock was ticking again. Some stopped for a moment, watching the hands move slowly once more. Word spread quickly. The old clock at the corner shop is alive again. And soon, people began to return. Some came just to see the clock. Some bought small trinkets. Others stayed just to talk to Mr. Harris for a while. To them it was just an antique that had been fixed. But to Mr. Harris, it was a symbol that something once stopped could still move again. Days passed, and the little shop began to feel alive once more. Mr. Harris lit up the lamps that had long gone dark, cleaned the windows, repaired the wooden shelves. Every time he heard the clocks ticking, he smiled softly, because each sound reminded him that time never truly stops. It only waits for us to begin again. Sometimes life is just like that old clock. We stop. We lose direction. We feel useless or forgotten. But what truly matters is not how long we've stopped, but whether we have the courage to fix what's broken and start again. From the very same place, Mr. Harris knew now that the value of something isn't measured by how long it works, but by how strong it beats after starting again. And from that day on, whenever someone entered his shop, Mr. Harris would smile gently and say, "Just because something stops doesn't mean it's over. Sometimes it's just a pause before beginning again, because sometimes it's not time that stops, it's us. And when we dare to fix what's broken, life begins to tick again." If this story touched your heart, remember to subscribe and let's keep time ticking, one story at a time. This is Tales by Theo.